Del mundo, yo no puedo salvarte.
All right, little La Vida Loca for you over there. Our next, when you meet our next guest, you're going to say, hey, live La Vida Loca somewhere other than Madera. Okay, let's bring in Michael Kime. How's it going, Michael?
How's it going, Chuck?
Nice to have you on. Now, Michael's running for sheriff in Madera. And how long have you been out there?
I've been in Madera 12 years. I was the chief of police for the city of Madera for 10. Now,
wait a minute. So you've been in Madera for 12 years? Because, gosh, I got to find somebody that knows about my Madera story, man. It's a big one.
Go ahead.
Well, I was living next to this guy. Let me back up. I was living in Madera, and a young guy moves in next door to me. Okay? And he's a doctor. And he says he's from Illinois and that his girlfriend is just going to school in Kentucky and she'll be back to move in with him in a couple months. Well, my wife and my son were befriending the guy. He's a nice guy, right? He's intelligent. He's a doctor. So we drink some beers with him and stuff. Well, his girlfriend moves in and she's cool and we're all getting to know each other and everything. Well, I come home from work on a Friday, and there's the doctor dude and this other guy, and they're drinking out in the front yard. And they said, hey, come over and drink with me. I said, okay, I'll bring some beers over and drinking. And then he breaks out a bottle of Jägermeister. And so then my wife and son were home, and then they're going to go out and dance. And I don't want to go out and dance because there's a Giants game on, so I'm going to stay home with my son. So right before, the guy that was with the doctor takes a whole bottle of Jägermeister and lays down on the grass and he drinks the whole thing down like this. So, follow me. So they're going to go out dancing. So the doctor says, well, this guy's too drunk. I don't want to go him going out dancing with me because he's too drunk. So unbeknownst to the drunk guy, the doctor pulls down his pants and shoots him in the butt with some Benadryl and lays him down in the bedroom to sleep it off. Well, to this day, that guy's still sleeping. It didn't work out very well, and the guy died. So, here I am in this whole messy thing, and it's just really weird, and I just don't know what happened in the end.
Frankly, I'm glad I don't know anything about it.
All right, so you grew up where, Michael?
Sacramento, California. I was born and raised there.
And so, were you in law enforcement in Sacramento?
Yes, I was.
And then you came to Madera?
Yes.
And you were chief of police for 10 years. And why do you want to be sheriff now?
Because I'm a dedicated public servant. I've been in law enforcement 40-plus years. I did 34 with Sacramento Police Department, and then I was the chief via a national search for the city of Madera for 10 years. And when we found out that John Anderson was going to retire after some successful 3 terms, I decided that I don't want to sit at home on the couch, and that being that I feel I'm the best person for the job, I thought I'd be remiss if I didn't throw my hat in the ring.
Now, what is it that Madera needs right now through the Sheriff's Department?
Well, like most places, they need more money to sustain the programs that are currently being offered. And for the Sheriff's Department, most importantly, they're about 13 deputies short. So no matter what you say, you have to have the individuals, the people, the sworn officers, they're present to provide better service. What that means is if you have less people to provide that service, you have longer response times, which that's not good. Nobody likes to wait for the cops when they want one. In addition to that, you lose self-initiated activity, you lose officer safety, and so forth. So it's really important to have boots on the ground, as some people would say, so that you can make sure that Madera is a safer place to live.
Well, Madera County is a pretty big county, and it covers a lot of mountainous areas. And there's a lot of action going up in those mountainous areas too. Are you going to concentrate on that, or are we concentrating on the people's safety, more close to town? What do you think?
Well, as a sheriff, I'm going to be responsible for the whole county, and that's about 2,100 square miles. So it is a large county geographical area. However, each one of the different locations where there's population, whether it be the ranchos or it be Oakhurst or down on the valley floor, it doesn't matter. Everybody's concerned about their safety. And the first thing they're concerned about is having deputies present. Deputies are curious about how they're going to remain safe when there's so few of them. So one of my programs, once we get this strength backed up to where it should be, is to try and provide 2 deputies per car that you see deployed so that they can be more engaged with the public, they can take more time to meet the citizens, they can spend more time in solving problems and become acquainted with the geographic area for which they're responsible.
So you already have the cars, you just want to add another sheriff in each one.
Cars don't do you a lot of good if you don't have anybody to drive them.
Now, what we were kind of touching on before, the mountainous areas. Now, I know and you know there's a lot of action going on up in the mountains. So some of it's for bad reasons, and some of them are not so bad reasons. So you got some bad guys growing some pot up there, and then you got some guys that are growing pot for the medical people.
Correct.
Right. So how do you differentiate?
Well, people have to remember that marijuana is still a Class 1 drug. The federal government still does not recognize it to be legal, and that causes a lot of problems for law enforcement for obvious reasons. And the main reason is, and probably the differentiation, simply put, would be if you're growing marijuana for medical purposes and you have a prescription, it's not likely that you're going to come up on the law enforcement's radar screen in California. However, if you're making a profit out of it, then that changes the game, dramatically. And law enforcement is going to get involved with that. Also, people that grow marijuana for their own purposes and so forth, they draw the attention of people that, as you say, are illegal people, bad guys, and they try and hijack their product. They try and make sure that they don't get in the way of their business and so forth. And when those things happen, the two worlds collide, and usually it's a bad outcome, in this case for the person that has the prescription, because they're going to lose against guns and cartels and so forth. A good example of that would be everybody thinks that the physical conditions are going to be solved for Washington State and Colorado currently. But I'll submit this to you. If you have a legal entity that's selling marijuana for $400 an ounce, do you think the cartel is going to hold still for that? I don't think so. They're going to try and sell the same product for $200 an ounce and cut into your business. And if that isn't
not my business.
Well, thank God for that. But having said that, then the next thing that's going to happen is if they can't force the legal people out, then they're going to hijack their product. They're going to try and intimidate them and so forth. So this is not a solution in and of itself. And now there's a lot of studies that suggest that long-term marijuana use is not good for your health.
I'm getting the feeling that you're against this, Mike.
Against what?
Never mind. Okay. So all right. So before we go to a commercial break, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at that camera, and I want you to tell those people why they need to vote for Michael Kime for Madera Sheriff.
Okay, 40-plus years of experience, dedication, commitment, and I'm trustworthy. And I'm proud to say that I'm the only candidate in this race that actually provided better service. And at the same time, I add people to the workforce, 10 positions over 10 years during the worst recession since the Great Depression. And most importantly, we initiated the gang task force, we engaged the public, we reduced graffiti by 85% and the gang population by 45%. Nobody else can say that. And in addition, I'm also giving back 75% of the sheriff's compensation so that I can hire more deputies to provide a safer environment.
Wow. Michael Kime.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good luck. Now, there's only one other question to see if you're going to be sheriff. Can you dance?
I can try.
All right. Make sure you stick around, everybody. We'll be right